Hey everyone, so I need to address something that came up in the comments on my last video. Someone wrote, let's hear the man's side or let's hear the other side. And honestly, I've been sitting with the comment because I think it deserves a real response, not just for me, but for everyone's who ever shared their story and been met with the same demand. So, here's the thing. Abuse isn't disagreement. It's not what he said and it's not what she said. It's a situation where the truth somewhere in the middle. Abuse is about patterns of behavior. It's about power and control, and when people demand to hear both sides, what they're often really doing, whether they realize it is or not, is asking victims to defend their reality. Let me be clear. This is story that I shared happens to many women in the world. This is also my story, and I don't owe anyone access to someone who harmed me, and I don't owe anyone a defense of my truth. You know what abusers count on? They count on people saying things like, let's hear both sides, because it does few things. First, it puts the burden back on the victim. Suddenly, we're not talking about what happened. We're talking about whether the victim can prove what happened, whether the story is reliable or exaggerating. Second, it suggests that there's some version of events where the abuse was justified or understandable or not that bad. There isn't. There's no explanation that makes pattern of control, manipulation, or harm okay. And third, it silences survivors because every time we speak, we have to brace for, but what about their side? A lot of people will just stay quiet, and that's exactly what allows abuse to continue. Let me break this down differently. If two people have a fight about who forgot to take out the trash, sure, there are two sides. If two people disagree about money or parenting or whatever, yeah, both perspective matters. But abuse isn't a conflict. Abuse is one person systematically controlling, harming, or breaking down another person. That's not a difference of opinion. That's not something you can split down the middle and find compromise. When something is being abused, asking for both sides is like asking for the other side of the gravity. It just doesn't apply the same way. So, I think sometimes people genuinely don't understand what abuse looks like, especially if they haven't experienced it. They think of physical violence, and yes, that's abuse, but they don't always recognize the other forms. Emotional abuse, financial abuse, gaslighting, isolation, the constant put downs that make you feel you're losing your mind, the control over who see what you wear, what you spend your time, the explosive anger that has you walking on eggshells in your own home. These things don't show up on camera. There's no proof that's neat and tidy, and abusers, there's often charming to everyone else. That's part of how they get away with it. When people say, let's hear their side, what they're missing is that the abuser's side is usually very convincing. That's the point. That's how abuse works. So, here's what I want to say clearly. This platform is my space to heal, to share the truth, and to connect with other survivors who need to hear they're not alone. I'm not putting someone who hurt me on this platform. I'm not giving them space in my healing. I'm not going to spend my energy defending my experience to people who have already decided I need to prove something. If you're here to support survivors, to learn, to grow, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. But if you're here to play devil's advocate with someone's trauma, this might not be the space for you. And that's okay. We don't have to agree. But these are my boundaries. If you're watching this and you've always been met with what about their side, I see you. Your experience is valid regardless of anyone else's perspective on it. You don't owe anyone your abuser's narrative. You don't have to defend what happened to you. Your truth is enough. Your healing is enough. and you deserve to tell your truth without having to litigate it. So, I'm going to keep sharing my journey. I'm going to keep speaking up because I know there are people out there who need to hear this, who need to know they're not crazy, they're not alone, and they're not making it up. And to the people who want to hear both sides, I hope this helped you understand why that's not the questions to ask. Thank you to everyone who's been supportive. Your comments, your messages, your stories, they mean everything. We're in this together. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.